Welcome to Let's Talk About Health, powered by Focus on Diabetes. Focus on Diabetes partners with accredited doctors to share education and new treatment options, world class healthcare organizations to introduce new technologies and free screenings for diabetic patients, their family, and the community. Now, let's talk about health.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Let's Talk About Health. Today we have Lou. I believe it's Sterling, but we'll double check when he's back on the show today. He's a passionate stroke survivor, diabetic heart disease advocate who has turned life's challenges into a powerful platform for change. As a father, husband, speaker, coach, and writer, Lou blends science, theology, and heart to inspire and motivate individuals and teams to rise above their limitations, build legacies, and achieve their full potential. He believes that together we can create ripples of change that echo far beyond ourselves. Everybody, let's welcome Lou.
Good to see you. Good to see you here, Tiffy. Nice. Thanks for having me.
Okay, Lou, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? And I might have mispronounced your name. It's Everling. I think I said Sterling.
Everling. Yes. Yeah. It's got the ing. I'm not like the Everly brothers. That's a common misnomer on my name. But yeah, I've been in the Cedar Valley for 13 years. And I remember when Bridget had this idea of Focus on Diabetes was just a dream, and now here it is in fruition. And she's got so many people like yourself helping and advocating for this here. So yeah, and I 1 year ago and a week, I suffered a stroke. Pretty massive stroke that hit all four quadrants of my brain. And then that revealed some underlying health issues that was also led to heart disease and then type 2 diabetes as well. So in the course of the last year, I've been able to get all those numbers back under control. And within the first 3 months of the diabetes revelation and the stroke, which led to other things. How did I get there? Which obviously was some blood pressure problems and some undiagnosed and untreated type 2 diabetes. And so, fortunately, though, I did get my A1C back down to 5.6 in 3 months.
That is amazing.
Diet, exercise, just really watching then what I was eating and not becoming what I want to say, a staunch hardcore can't eat this, but really watching moderation and counting my carbs, just like all of the dietitians what came in and talked to us and all the diabetes specialists. Really just following those recommendations, but not starving myself, not making everything impossible. But, there were those things. And the underlying part of that was I had a 90% heart blockage. And we found that out after working with the neurology department. They put a loop recorder in me and tracked my heart monitor. And so we found that there was some things going on, some things that had been attributed to, for instance, long COVID. It turned out I wasn't breathing well because my heart wasn't pumping the way it should be, so a lot of things were underlying there, but I'm very fortunate and I'm very, very blessed to still be walking amongst everyone. So, and now the least I can do is to be a voice for men's health and women's health, because women have a 60% greater chance than men with the heart disease and a variety of these things. So we really need to watch what we're doing and pay attention to some of those little signs that come in. Yeah.
So you
I'm
said
really
it started
appreciative.
like a year ago. So did you have any other issues before you had your stroke?
No, July 28th last year was when I had the stroke. And so that was just a weird moment, of time. Just thought I had some insomnia, wasn't sleeping. Now, what some precursors to that were the year prior, I had Bell's palsy. And so there were some things that went along with that, but everything was seemingly coming back into line. But I was still having trouble with some fatigue and some other issues, and then really didn't get a good follow-up on a lot of that and just kind of let it go and until that tragic day. Yeah. So that was kind of some of the symptoms that led up to it. That night, that morning, as the stroke happened, I happened to be just awake at 3:30 in the morning. It was a random moment. And at that point in time, I decided to go ahead and get up because I wasn't going back to sleep. And then when I did that, I went upstairs to my reading area, which happens to then just be above my bedroom. And at one point, my wife was awake. She heard something and then texted me, and I thought I was having a bad dream, and I couldn't text her back.
Oh.
And
So you were by yourself? I mean, well, at least, you got it by yourself. You were just like,
yeah,
okay, can't go to sleep. This is just something just a little
right.
different.
Just a little different. Yeah. And so as I'm working on my doctoral thesis, I was sitting there writing and working through some journals and some books and research. And she texted to say, are you okay? And I couldn't, all of a sudden I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't focus on, and I couldn't get my hand to work. I could not get this to, and so
Wait,
I
were you trying?
typing.
Was it numb?
Yes.
It's like, what? It's just not working.
Yeah. This is not working. Nothing was happening. I mean, and then what I did send was like a hodgepodge of garbage letters. Just I had pushed something, and I could see it that there was not right, but I didn't know why it wasn't right. And that's when I thought I was having a bad dream. Then my book falls. Then the Bible falls. Then a pen, and then my phone hits the floor. And that's when she knew something was not right and came up and started talking to me. And of course, I was in a state of babbling, just, I'm just tired. I'm just this. And then I had the excuses. And then one thing led to another, and my balance was off. And of course, I didn't look right. So fortunately, she's 13 years younger than I am. So she's young enough to recognize stroke symptoms.
Mm-hmm. So you had some of the basic stroke symptoms when she did come up.
And she did come up, and she called 911 immediately.
Good job.
Immediately. And so there wasn't an option for me to say, I'm just tired.
Right.
And that quick thinking is really what saved my life. It's what saved my life, Okay. And then a shout out to Mercy One and the first responders here in Cedar Falls that came. They got me out. They knew what to do. And it was tough. It was tough.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I remember. Things I do remember about other symptoms of that, though, were that night before bed, I had the weirdest headache, and I felt like someone had a clamp on my head. There were weird little nuances in my fingertips that I was feeling, little pains and shooting pains, and then just some little quivers in my face that were kind of odd twitches that had gone along with the Bell's palsy, though. And it was, again, not me thinking of that, like, oh, this could be happening. It was like, here's one more symptom.
Right.
Ugh, maybe I'm just tired. We had a super busy day. We had the big duck race at the falls. We had went to a movie. We had done all kinds of stuff. Yeah, the laughing pieces of the oh my goodness, this is the best day ever. And then the next day I'm in the hospital. So
from that hospital stay, how did they come about finding all the other issues, the diabetes, the heart disease, where they were like, hey, he had a stroke, let's just check everything else?
Yeah, just check everything else. Well, when I came in, my blood pressure was high. That was off the charts. What else do I want to say? My glucose was high, so that was around 300. Ooh. And then my pieces of my blood pressure were off the charts again too. They were high, and everything about it was just wrong. Somewhere I still have the neurology reports that show the quadrants of the brain with all the highlights of that stroke.
Oh, and goodness. You should have had that. We could have posted that right up on the screen.
Yeah, I didn't. I just now thought of that as I'm looking at a pile of Mercy One medical records on my desk that I have. I have a pile of folders for every incident that I had last year. And but what happened with that was I was very fortunate that I was able to. I just started eating differently that day that week, you know, and my family was really rallying around it and supported that. And so it was really bringing, seeking support systems around me. Uh, and that was the thing, as how I got through that was to really, the mental aspect of that was to think about how to embrace the moments of discomfort, and that I was going to use that as a personal growth piece. I could sit and dwell on what I did wrong and how I screwed up, but that wouldn't do me any favors.
Right.
You know, that just wouldn't do me or get me through that moment in that. So I had to really approach it as I need to change to be there for my family and be there for the others around me. And the only way to really do that was to embrace that discomfort, to embrace that zone.
How did it affect your family?
Oh, absolutely.
In the beginning and then throughout?
Yeah, absolutely. In the blog post that we'll put in the comments before I really kind of detail that, but the standing out moment was the, I'll try to get through this without tears because it still haunts me. When I think of looking, as they put me on the gurney, the look of fear in my little boy's face as they wheeled me out. This Sunday, July 28th, might be the last time I ever seen him. Or he ever seen me. That was not a look that I ever want him to ever have again. I would never want any father to have that.
The one boy?
Yeah, he's the one that's seen me. Yeah, yeah. The others weren't present at the time.
That's got to be scary for a 6-year-old.
Yeah. Well, at that time, he was, how old is he? He's 12 now. So he was 11 last year. Yeah. Oh, so he was really, really just in a state of, you know, and that was for me, as I went out the door, I blacked out. I don't know what happened. I just remember the next thing is waking up. I remember being in the ambulance and it was gone, and then waking up as they backed me into the I almost said the hotel. They backed me into the ER. That's when I woke up.
Wow. And
those were the moments of, well, I'm still here. I'm lucky. I'm really lucky. Yeah.
Really so lucky. Since all this has happened, what's all has changed for you? Because you did say you were working on your doctorate when this was happening. What did you get your doctorate in?
My doctorate is in family and congregational care, is Amen through Bethel. So I've worked a lot of my research has been in structural violence and trauma sensitive theology and working with immigrants and refugees.
Okay.
And so that's where my doctorate lies in, is pastoral care. And we oftentimes refer to it as interpersonal neurobiology because we blend that theology with science and the mind science. And so when we think about this question of how do we mentally deal with the situation, it was really about growing in emotional intelligence and finding peace in resilience and perseverance, and then how we struggle through to get through that. So I had to shift my perceptions. I really had to shift my perceptions of life rather than from a victim standpoint of, oh, woe is me, or what could I have done better?
Right.
But now, how can I grow through this to prevent this from the future? And for me to do that is to become an advocate for stroke awareness, for diabetes awareness, to be about what the heart disease can do to others. And not taking it for granted, taking it for granted, and a sense of gratitude.
Oh, well, let us know a little bit more about your blog.
Yeah. So with the blog, and I was just looking at how the mindset makes us change to improve our health. So when I always hear this comment of folks at the gym, I'm always there. I'm always looking. I'm always trying to do something other than the fact I have the broken foot and I can't do a lot of walking now to get the cardio up where I did.
Well,
So
you can use the
there's some
top
ways.
half. Your top.
I use those. I love the new steppers. I use those. So I love those because I can take that impact off, so that we're still continuing that. But rather than taking a mindset of, oh, I'm glad this workout is done, I have to do this. I do this for the aspect of, one, it's a chance to connect with others and advocate for why we're doing what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it's a peace of mind that knows it keeps me alive. And you know what? Three, I just feel better. I just feel better. So when I think about what I put in that blog, that mindset to make those changes moving forth, when I was in that hospital and people would ask to come to visit, I really wasn't denying their presence because I didn't want them there. But for many, I wanted that time for me to process what was happening to me, kind of in a stillness, in a state, because we can stillness when you isolate is unhealthy, but stillness when you contemplate and look for what can be done in the future is a chance for you to really connect with your spirit in so many ways that I can get that time.
That would be great to rewind.
Yeah. When silence in isolation is really a detrimental, unhealthy piece. But silence when you're listening to your soul and you're listening to what God is saying to you at the time is a powerful way to change your life. And you can actually get quiet enough to listen. And that's the thing that we have to really look forward to. And that was what I did. And that's how I changed my mindset while in that hospital, was a moment of surrender that I could say, I can't do this on my own. I need the help. I need Jesus in my heart. And I need to reflect on where I am at in my life and how can I make that move forward. And I want to make it better for everyone. Right. And that was really it. And that's the difference between what we do when in silence, when we isolate, or we do silence as a moment of solace where we can really just look at ourselves and do that introspection or the phrase I'm trying to think of, introspection, just really looking at ourselves from the inside. Yeah. So
any depression after your stroke was one of the questions. If you experienced any depression after you had your stroke.
Oh, yes. I mean, it's a struggle. It's really a struggle with so many things. The little nuances, every time there's a pain in my fingertip, every time there's a little quiver in an eye, every time there's a little something, I wonder, is this coming again?
Right.
When, that for the longest time really hit me. And I didn't really think about so much of this until I went back for a 1-year visit at the hospital. And I didn't think about it, that the day I was there was the exact same day that I had gone in for the stroke.
Wow.
And it really hit me leaving. Like this whole overwhelming emotions popped into me saying, oh my gosh, that was 1 year ago today that I was sitting up in a room thinking, what are my next steps? What's going to happen next? And that whole day was pretty much just a kind of a blur till about 2:00. I really wasn't coherent on a lot of things, but then I started joking and laughing. So then my behavior started, realizing I was coming out of those things and I was really moving out of it. But that took a little while. And then I ended up having a 4-day stay in the hospital.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
That's a little lengthy stay.
It was a little lengthy stay. And, I realized just how lucky I was because I was really on the emergency floor and how crowded that hotel or the hospital was. It became like a hotel because I just kind of wore the clothes I wanted to wear and I could go for walks through the day. And
no hospital gown.
No hospital gown. So some lady, this is what one nurse was really aggravated that I didn't have the hospital gown on. And that became the funny story because she says, everybody else wears one. And I said, well, obviously, look at me. I'm not like everyone else. Who else has a
Clearly.
mohawk that you know of, and earrings and things like that? So, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to wear them. I just
Little
didn't want to.
Heston,
Yes, little
how
Heston.
you
That's
both motivate each other.
we motivate each other while we swim a lot. He loves to swim. He's like a dolphin. So he's and so we motivate each other to go exercise because of that. We were doing our walks until it became to the point where I couldn't walk much anymore. But he inspires me, and Karen's daughter Katie, she's a 16-year-old track star and cross country runner. So she's always working on eating healthy. She immediately started making some healthy things for me, and so but all the kids have really been very supportive, and my wife as well. So it's been fantastic.
So how did you have to do a big diet change?
No, we've always had pretty much. I just ate too much most of the time, and I liked cold beer in the summer times and probably had too much of that. And I no longer partake in any of those things. And I really just, it was just me not monitoring things and not moving enough. And so it's really easy to fall into that trap. Same way when the type 2 diabetes hit me at the age of 37, when I walked into a factory and had a screening, and the guy, my screening was because back at that time, another time in my life, I weighed about 340 pounds. And so, yeah, I probably lost 300 pounds in my lifetime, but keeping it off is always the trouble. And look at that. Yeah.
Two different people.
There's I'm half the man I used to be, as that song said. And so one day I walk into a thing, and my common joke was there was a skinny guy that his cholesterol was off the charts around 200 or so. And he would challenge me, what's your cholesterol? I think he would call me big boy or fat boy, I think was his exact words. And so I went in to get my cholesterol, and I asked the kid, I said, what's my cholesterol? He says, it's like 86. But are you a diabetic? And I chuckled and I said, well, I don't think so. Why? He goes, because your blood sugar, was like 320 then. And I said, well, I guess I am now. So I changed the way I ate. I changed the way I thought. I lost a lot of weight. I did very good at that. Actually did some speaking for at the Indiana State Fair for the Diabetes Association in Indiana when I lived there, and talked about life change and how that happened. Somewhere, though, as we all know, life gets in the way. 5 years later, the doc says you're clear, your glucose numbers are down, life gets in the way. I started eating again, not paying attention to things, doing other work, changed careers, moved into a whole new thing, gained weight again. It just became easy. And it just becomes too easy if we stop thinking about what the benefits of what we do and what we're doing, if we don't kind of relate that. And now, being a father, I need to be a better influence for that.
Right.
And so that way I can influence him and everybody else in the house. Yeah.
Okay. So, of course, we always encourage anybody that's online that's watching to also, get your questions in there. My question: diet and exercise. Any medications?
Yes. So
you had to do.
I am on, that's a great question. And I am on some medications, and I've come off of several of them. So that's a great thing. So I'm down to some bare minimums. I do use metformin at 850, which they tell me is a pretty small amount. So because I know from the other options that are out there, there is a lot higher. I don't have to do shots yet.
You will be like, you're not going to do shots at all. We're going to keep it.
We're going to keep it this way. We're going to keep it this way, and we're going to get off some of these other meds because, now I have 4 stents. So that's another thing I have to deal with. So I'm on some medications just because I'm on stents for at least a year. And some of those will come down, but my blood pressures have been running really good. I mean, I'm 112 to 115 over 67. I'm keeping it in these par normal ranges with just minimal medications. So I have some Plavix, I have some Metoprolol, and clopidogrel. I guess that's the
Oh
Plavix.
yeah.
And so
Thinners, don't cut
and a
yourself.
little bit of
Be
yeah.
careful.
So we're just very minimal. I try to remember a few of them, but it's so bad. But I'm fortunate that we are eliminating some of these pieces
Yeah, so that's
and
not bad. That's not
really
bad.
watching. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Coach, what are you coaching?
what are we coaching? Well, we have certifications in all sorts of things, but
Oh wow.
I try to one of the things I like to help people is just become unstuck. There's a really good book out there called The Mountain in Front of Me Is Me. And most oftentimes the reason we can't get to where we want to go is because that we think we can't move a mountain. And unfortunately that mountain lies right inside this steel trap that we possess. And it's a very powerful trap that we have. We can either use it for great things or we can use it for horrible things. And so how we have to face that. And so that's what I do in the coaching on one of the things with the neuroscience or the emotional intelligence and things like that. I just want to help people get inspired.
Talking a lot about that though. Those two things
Yeah.
together. You don't.
Yeah. It's just not something you do. And really just share my personal stories of resilience and perseverance of how these things can you just got to keep coming back to that we can get through. This too shall pass, and we have to roll with that in so many levels of things. But again, it's really embracing the discomfort, and that's one thing I can't not stress is about when we get that, to recognize the forms of adversity that approaches that we have to cultivate resilience so often. Everything we do, and it equips us to handle the tools to navigate these difficult times, and they just don't get any easier. They'll never get any easier.
Okay. And this year, this is our teen year for Focus on Diabetes. September 6th at the Waterloo Center for the Arts from 11 to 2. Lou, have you ever experienced Focus on Diabetes before firsthand?
I have. I went out and attended last year, and it was such a great event. So many great things go on there, and you can get those little screenings. I just urge everyone to do it. I'm really just so happy that Bridget has persevered on and got this from the dream that I remember her talking about years ago when I first met her. And
how long ago?
Well, it had been about 13 years ago when I came out here.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. And so I just remember conversations and the launch. But yeah, I went last year. Great speakers, learned a lot about the GLP information, the GLP-1s, and how folks were utilizing that and what that could do. And it's just such a great place to pick up on the power, what you can do as someone who's kind of new into this. And I was just out of the hospital, just really out of the hospital with so many of these things. Mm-hmm. It was neat to see that I wasn't alone in this journey. And I think that's what everybody can do, is to really realize that they're not alone in this journey, that there are many others just like yourselves that have been newly diagnosed, or maybe they've been doing it for years. They've been doing it and doing it successfully, but it's that seeking the support system. It's really just seeking the support system of others and having them around you. It just brings it up to so many levels, and that's just wonderful.
Okay. So of course, everybody, I think we did have Lou's how to follow him pop up across the down there in the bottom somewhere. So Lou, of course, any final words, let people know how to get a hold to you, follow you, look out for your blog and all that fun stuff.
Well, I seen a few of my Facebook followers on here. Follow the blog at Substack at Lou Everling. That's just the best place. There is a link for the Luby stroke, and when that's the entire experience that I wrote about that couple nights that I was in the hospital, just really reflecting. And I would say, as we reflect on this, one of the things I reflected on was just my life, really living up to my life. Oh, yeah, I don't know. I saw you pop up. You got a big on screen. That's all right. I would say, just reflect on your values, there I popped up. But understanding your core values informs your purpose and guides your really your actions for the moving forward, and that moves you forward for a meaningful legacy. What can you leave behind? and if we just reflect on those values, that's the most important thing. And are you living up to those?
That is amazing. A couple of things I think I am going to have to go back in here and rewatch. As far as like the mindset, I'm working on mine definitely,
Yeah.
because I think I kind of get a little stuck
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
need to move out of it.
Yeah. 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 We have, that's now that, but that's the first step right there, is identifying it,
Yeah.
that I'm stuck. And I'm in that boat too with so many things, and it's so easy to fall into that, especially when you have some of the things I had go right into this. It just, yeah. Oh, what advice can I give to Tiffy moving forward? Well, you know what? Let me just scroll back. I'm gonna say it's gonna come to this. We're a couple different things. Nurture a growth mindset, acknowledge your journey, and practice gratitude daily. And then focus on that mindfulness. If you stay present, promoting awareness, and it'll help reduce anxiety about the future, and all these other things. And then during that same time, you're just going to cultivate an element of mindfulness, or you're going to cultivate resilience and all of that. And you're going to really embrace your self-compassion that you have for others. Self-compassion, I can't tell you enough how, don't beat yourself up over this. Don't beat yourself up over things that didn't go the way you planned. And I am the worst one at doing that. I beat myself up a lot. But self-compassion during this time is the greatest thing you can give yourself to move forward, to embrace discomfort.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to work on that.
Yeah. And I'm always here. So you can always reach out. I'm not far away. You can always find me somewhere here, or LinkedIn, or whatever, but everything's usually under my name. And Heston and I will start doing some more things on TikTok called the Heston and Dad Show.
See, yes. That is awesome. See that?
Yes.
You know what? She should have put your TikTok in there. So many people, they'd be like, "Oh no, TikTok. Oh yes."
Yeah, we haven't done as many since I've been sick last year, because it just hasn't been convenient for us to do them. So, but we'll get more on that, because I'm going to be confined to a chair.
We'll see some fun things, fun challenges.
Yeah. And Bridget's calling me out and saying, yes, a pastor. Yes, we do pastor others. And how can we deal with grief? That's a great question. And really, how we deal with grief is again, comes back to mindset and how we're going to face that. Because during grief, there's going to be such a mass amount of change.
Oh yes.
Because everything changes. And we got to embrace that discomfort, because we can't change that. That's the things we can't, but we can control how we attack that and how we land in that. And so that's how to me, that's the best way to recuperate from grief and from loss. Is one of the things I've been fortunate to do is work the last 4 months at Western Home. And when I see folks that have suffered loss, is when I talked about seeking community and seeking those whose support systems. Recovering from grief, the fastest way is through a community of others that are there. Seek those folks who are around you and surround you. It's without about the support systems that are in place through the power of community is a beautiful thing. And it's just a beautiful thing. Just a beautiful thing. Okay. I hope that answers that. Yeah. Because it's tough, and everybody grieves differently, and there's no timeline on it. So if anyone says you should be over that by now, that's a misnomer. Right. Everyone heals through things differently.
Right.
And sometimes when we think we've healed, we haven't. And I would say, as a stroke survivor, I would say things I thought I've healed through, don't, because you'll see that sometimes I can get emotional on that, and it'll hit me, and I don't know when it's going to hit. But when we work on fostering that emotional intelligence, we can see when those moments are going to hit, and we approach and navigate them a little differently. And right. That's where we grow. That's how we know we're growing, when we don't lose all of those pieces. Yep.
Okay. Well, of course, anybody that can come out, join us on September 6th at the Center for the Arts for Focus on Diabetes. And Lou, you know what? We might have to piggyback back to you. to
I
check
would
back
love that
in.
anytime. I am always available. I want you to know that. I'll just make that. I'll hold myself accountable by saying whatever I can do to help you advance this. I will be here for you. If anybody thinks I have some wisdom to help you with, I have been through the journey, much like many
He has
others,
some
but I
wisdom,
will always
trust
be
me.
available. I will always be
A
here
lot.
for you all. We appreciate you. Appreciate you, Tiffy, Bridget, and Terrence. You've just been friends for so long. But yeah, this thing is a serious thing. Folks, please get out. Please share with friends to get out and support this Focus on Diabetes. It is important. It's not just, it's a silent killer. And my doctor said to me, these were the words that I needed a wake-up call when I was 37 years old. My doctor at that point said something that he says was very harsh. He thought later, but it was the thing that changed my life. He said, young man, if you don't change your ways, you're going to die. You're going to die. He called me and asked me if that was too harsh. And I said, nope, I changed my ways. And yeah.
That's great.
So yeah.
I would have been like, oh my God, that hurt my heart.
Yeah.
But again, thank you for being on, Lou.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
My pleasure. You're very welcome.
All right, everybody. See you later.
Have a wonderful night and have a good time at Focus on Diabetes.